Hey people, what's good? What's good? I am Cool Blue. This is
Lady Blue.
And this will be another episode of Blue Talk, episode 15. Public perception is the name. This is my topic. I've been wanting to do this one for a while. Necessary dialogue, and let's get right into it. So, like I said beforehand, before I do anything, I'll have the definition of everything. We actually have two definitions this week. I'm going to do one, and Alicia is going to do one. I'm actually going to let Lady Blue do hers first, which is perception.
Okay, so perception has three definitions, but I'm going to go with the one that's best for what we're talking about, which is a way of regarding, understanding, or interpreting something, a mental impression.
Of course, mine is public, of, relating to, or affecting a population or a community as a whole. Let me cut this on real quick. Boom. About to say, we had a lot of guests around in our neighborhood, so naturally we had to set up elsewhere. But nevertheless, the show must go on. Actually, our first bullet for tonight is actually perception, and our first our sub point is seeing versus knowing. And when we get into perception, a lot of times, what people oftentimes say, what you see versus what you know are two totally different things. And I'll kind of let you spearhead to this one, and I'll kind of piggyback off of,
So to me, with perception and seeing versus knowing is basically, I would interpret it as when you see an action or anything like that, it's like, okay, I see what's going on, whatever else. But to truly know what's going on behind the scenes, you really don't. So like say your favorite person or your coworker that you talk to, you know them, or when you see them every day, you see that they have a smile on their face, everything is going great, they just jolly upbeat. But really what you don't know is they might be dealing with abuse at home, or they just going through some depressive stuff. Like some people even hide sicknesses really well.
Yeah.
So it's like you just never truly know what someone is going through. And sometimes people get so caught up in seeing what someone is versus knowing who they are.
Right. Exactly what I was hitting on. Actually, that kind of rolls into our next one, which is lies become truth. And like you were saying, as far as like people being able to hide sickness well or whatever the case may be, a lot of times you could tell yourself something long enough to the point where even you start to believe it, even though you know it's a lie.
Yep.
So it goes into several different facets of like not only just like the way that we live and deal with one another, but kind of how we deal, with ourselves. So, and it's a hard pill to swallow. A lot of people don't like talking about it because it strikes a certain nerve.
It puts them under the microscope.
Exactly. And for the majority, a lot of people don't like being put underneath the microscope unless you're just an attention seeker.
Right. Or they can point out your problems, but you can't point out theirs.
Exactly. This kind of leads us into our next topic, which is smoke and mirrors. When you kind of deal with lies becoming truth, a lot of times you naturally find smoke and mirrors. And you deal with some of the issues of family, friends, like she said, co-workers. And it becomes a thing of not only trying to deal with what's going on in your own world, but now you kind of have to process what's going on around you and separate fact from fiction. And I'll let you roll into this one, and I'll kind of come back and...
Well, I was going to say with the lost in the smoke topic, I think sometimes we get caught up in the titles that people give us. So, like the rich auntie title, like, yeah, she a rich auntie because she always dressed nice. She always got this bag or these shoes, or she always going somewhere. And you might not know, like, she in debt.
Right.
And y'all or people have talked and hype her up to this perception that she's getting lost in it and just digging herself into more.
Yeah. Because a lot of times people kind of become prisoner of the moment, and you hear it all the time how you got that one homeboy or that homegirl who, like, quote unquote, the life of the party, and they don't know they don't know the off switch. So it's like every time they go out, they have to be the life of the party. People get caught up in the image, people get caught up in the moment, and then it's like, without knowing it, sometimes you might want to go out and be on some chill, but you done hyped it up so much about being the life of the party that every time you go out, they looking for turn up.
Yeah.
You know?
Or think about, like, some of your favorite celebrities that you see on, like, Instagram or something. Like, your funny friend does not want to be funny 24/7.
Exactly.
But because they give off that perception or that image all the time, they lost in it because now that's all they're known for. But I think it also, well, Lost in the Smoke actually touched on your truth versus reality.
Yeah.
So we just going to roll right in to the next subtopic, which is the effects or long-lasting effects of it. Did you want to speak on that?
Actually, I kind of want to touch on the truth versus reality a smidgen bit more, because, like I said, no, nothing wrong with that. But before we roll into the effects or the longer lasting effects, like you were saying, like, as far as, like, celebrities go, like, a lot of times, even with social media, we as adults kind of get lost in the sauce ourselves, and it's like we hold ourselves up to a certain image or a perception, you know, that, like, we can't completely live up to. So it's like you'll see these celebrities have these bodies, they telling you they going to the gym, not really going to the gym. They tell you that, you know, they have X amount of cars are being leased, they don't own them, you know, like, just like different stuff. And this is not to necessarily, you know, bash celebrities, but it's like some of your favorite celebrities and the perceptions that's being put out, it's like if you see them when the cameras go off, you know, like,
You might be a little surprised.
yeah, and it's like a lot of yeah, and that's basically what I wanted to touch on, because it's like, you know, like, you as adults can be fooled as well, and you try to live a lifestyle. It's like, all right, cool, I got a couple extra dollars in my pocket, I gotta get this car, I gotta get this home, I gotta get this jewelry, I gotta take these type of trips, because you see the influencers and the celebrities and whomever else doing these things, and it's like you want to live up to the perception as well, but you not realizing they get endorsements, you know, like, they have sponsors, like, for the majority, like, or it's like, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes, and you thinking that they forking everything out of pocket, and that's not necessarily the case. And I think we just saw a video a few months ago where it was like, people were talking about how some influencers get so annoying to the point where as though they don't want to deal with them at all because they ask for everything. And so your favorite influencer might be jumping out of Lambos and hopping off, you know, like, whatever, but you don't know what they doing at the end of the day to keep up with that image or that perception. So, you know, just wanted to kind of piggyback off that a little bit.
I was about to say, I could use myself as a personal example. So I used to work in this luxury handbag store, and because I worked there, I got a huge discount, which means I had multiple bags, bless you.
Excuse me.
So I kind of got tagged with being known for having nice bags all the time. But once I left there and, you know, reality set in, I was like, I don't have to keep up the perception of always having a new bag, and that's not in my budget at the moment. So it's like I had to get out of my own hype, because for a while there, I wasn't buying any bag at, I guess, your normal retailers or that the masses get.
Yeah.
So, you know, I had to, well, it wasn't even I had to, it's just that because I wasn't in that environment anymore, and because I didn't have to live up to that perception, because when you work for a company, you got to represent them.
Yeah.
I kind of fell out the mix. So, like, some stuff I didn't know about the releases as much. I don't know what's always available. And I honestly got out of my own way, got out of my own hype. Like, I realized that, I don't need to carry $100, $200 purse all the time or however much. Like,
Right.
I don't need that. That's not a necessity, and that's not a perception I can realistically keep up all the time now or have to. So, time to let it go.
Right. And that actually kind of goes into like the long lasting effects, and like where she was, where we were initially jabbing at a little earlier. My apologies for kind of backpedaling a bit, but like I said, we kind of get into the long lasting effects of generational, because a lot of times, just like good habits can be passed down, bad habits can be passed down, or bad perceptions can be passed down that can be shadowed as good perceptions. Like we find this a lot inside of our communities in like ways that we see our grandparents, way that we see our aunts, and some of us for the way we see like our parents. You might see them as one way, but they might be known for another way. Or you might see them in a community as a certain way, but then you start to hear things as you get older and you start to do, research for yourself. And sometimes you might be like, And then sometimes you might be like, I mean, like, it's just some honest dialogue, like.
Yeah.
But, I'll let you.
One thing I will say is that we have to learn how to let public perception go. Because I think sometimes we all just get caught up in how we look to the outside versus how we really feeling.
Yeah.
And that gives out a confusing message, especially for young children and stuff like that. When you think about like the kids that's watching you, like, think and be anything you want, blah, 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 blah. But then it's like, well, when we go here, we dress like this because this is the image we have to give off.
Yeah.
No, don't wear your such and such like this because it doesn't fit into this crowd or this room. And that could be confusing not only to children but to adults. Like,
right.
Who are you trying to impress? Like, it's some people who legit wear the same outfit no matter where they go. And I don't mean same outfit like same clothes every day. But they have kind of like a uniform look that they wear everywhere, no matter what, no matter the event, and you gotta kind of respect that.
Yeah. And like I said, like just getting into that as far as like perception goes, and like from your stance and how you were taking it, being able to let go sometimes can be extremely hard. Like you were taught something from like childhood, and it's like it damn near becomes law. And to be told, later in life that a certain person or people in your life may not live up to the grand expectations that you have of them, it can bite. That bullet can hurt. And so it's like, granted, like you drive a hard bargain when you say, like you should be able to let go and whatever the case may be, but like I say easier said than done. And like it can have longer lasting effects granted, on the opposite side of the playing field, it can have a longer lasting effect the longer the lie the longer the lie is kept up. Because then, like we said earlier, like lies become truth, and then you don't necessarily know how to separate anymore. Then you don't know where the lie started with you versus what I mean, like so. But this kind of gets into our final point, which is a moment of truth. And like you were saying, the reality of public opinion. And you pretty much already put your nail in the coffin on that one. So, but yeah, like...
it don't matter.
Yeah, but like you said, like it don't matter, but for some people it do. And... like a lot of people, nowadays would be like, I don't care what people got to say, like, F the haters, whatever, but it's like, what you saying versus what you portraying
are two different
are
things.
two different things. And it's like people were like, everybody screaming, F the haters, your opinion don't matter, yada, 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 yada.
But they matter to you.
Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Right. You shouting them out on all platforms.
Yeah. They matter. So it's like, yeah, I mean, granted, like, yo, I'm like I said,
Yeah.
and I'm not, and that's not to glorify that in any way, shape, or form, but it's like,
They matter.
they matter.
You shouting them out.
Yeah, you giving them platforms, you giving them space. They occupy space in your mind, and that kind of goes back to one of our older episodes, which is energy investment. Go watch that if you haven't seen it. Oh yeah, before we go any further, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe on the videos,
Thumbs up us.
please. But that kind of gets into our last subtitle, which is where you stand, and where you should stand versus where you stand actually today. And I'm gonna let you get into that.
Well, for me, I would say where you should stand is not to fall victim of public perception and lose who you are. Whereas though you may stand, or in bringing it back to me to show y'all that whatever we talk about, we're going through, where I realistically stand versus where I should stand. So realistically, most opinions don't matter to me. But in some instances, my perception, I guess when it comes to family, that matters to me a little bit more. So that opinion kind of speeds me up or slows me down sometimes, and that shouldn't either. I mean, they know me the most, they know me the best, quote unquote, but
Yeah.
I shouldn't let their perception of me hold me in a box of how I feel and what I am of myself.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I'm saying where it should stand is whatever perception you want to put out, that's the perception you should live by.
Yeah.
That's my final statement.
Yeah. Like you said, like, make sure and on top of that, like, make sure that you're fully aware of the perception that you're putting out. Because people will quick to put certain perceptions out about themselves, and then when a group of people latch onto it and they start holding you accountable for certain things, you then catch an attitude and say, well, that was me so and so and so and so ago. Like, people should see me for who I am now. And it's like,
no, you pushed this one narrative for so long.
yeah, it's like you said, just like for anything else, it's hard to shed. And that's like, and it's not to necessarily say that people can't understand and move forward, but it's like, it's harder to shed a certain image when you've done it for a lengthy period of time. And people are always going to see you in a light that they want to see you in regardless. But if you, what am I looking to say? If you add value to that perception, and if you stand on that for umpteen years, people gonna be like, oh,
that's them.
That's them. That's what that's their makeup. You know, that's their foundation, and they're gonna hold you to that. You know, so.
Because most people are resistant to change. As much as people like to brag about, oh, I do this, oh, I do that.
They're not.
They've been doing the same thing for 20 years. Oh, well, we've been talking a little too long. The camera's signaling us that we are running low on space, so.
This has been another episode of Blue Talk. I am Cool Blue. This is
Lady Blue. And thank you for making it to episode 15.
You're right.
We love y'all.